Thanks, Chris. So, Chris, I think you can take this as read. This was something we asked you to go away and look at in the intervening period. And what you've come back with is, yes, that can happen.
Yes, Your Worship. So we've found a way to just swap some programs around to keep it cost neutral and bring forward the wastewater Far Western Interceptor.
Right, and that's, from your perspective, that's an appropriate thing to do?
Yes.
Right, okay, thank you. Any questions on this section? No? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, it's enough. Councillor Mallett, you'll move?
Seconds.
Yes, so we'll go to the board and vote on that.
We're calm after lunch.
Calm after lunch. Oh, okay, well, quickly then.
The
let's
calm after the lunch.
go.
Numbers.
Before the storm.
Board on?
What are we voting on?
Actually, have we got a, is there some,
Yeah.
is there a recommendation? I know what we're.
There is a recommendation.
Oh, okay, it's there.
Page 18.
Hold on.
It's your motion, mate. Yeah, well, I knew what I was talking about.
Okay, so we're voting on the board, page 18, recommendation.
Councillor Young and Councillor Gallagher to...
Martin.
Councillor Gallagher.
Can you push the button?
No, I'm not. Just tell me what I'm voting on, please.
Get back on time.
That the Far Western Wastewater Interceptor Extension Project be programmed to commence in 2016-17 as part of the, quote, increased capacity of wastewater network throughout the city, close quote, program. So it's a substitution for another
do you
project
think
of
I
about the
should
same
do, Rob?
size.
Councillor McPherson, are you present for voting? You've just walked in the
Right,
door.
thank you.
Oh, they were reading the motion. Is that, you mean you voted before you read the motion?
No,
A re-reading the motion.
we started at 1:15 and we'd already...
Yeah, no, I was just looking at the motion change up on the wall.
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is I delete councillors when they leave the room, and I haven't put you back in, so I'm just checking.
No,
It's
I'm all
1:18.
right.
It's 3 minutes.
I'm all right. I don't think I'll affect the vote.
Right, so next item,
the answer.
thank you, the next item we're dealing with is...
So
Can't be
we've
blamed.
done now it's
If
moving
they're
on
all
to
that
the
easy,
page.
Okay, so
I'll leave the money in the
councillors,
normal
Chris,
Chris is rubbing his hands.
thank you, Chris. So councillors, we've finished going through the items that impact on the draft. And so we're just going to, I've asked that a motion be put up just in relation to the financial strategy. So bearing in mind we're still in draft, this reflects the decisions we've made, and then on the 25th of February we will be getting a further draft, but you know we're in the final throes now, and we have some more information coming to us on that date which will impact on the budget as well.
Excuse me, Your Worship, could I just pick up one point? When we will be preparing a draft financial statements based on all the resolutions to date. Please note that at the moment the revenue receipt per the resolution that went on for the wheelie bins at the last meeting is slightly out of kilter with the costs because we adjusted the costs. We will correct that for the 25th of February and bring that forward corrected at that stage. Just the resolutions probably need to be updated if it stands that it is. But as we're bringing back a separate report on that, we will make sure it's tidied up at that point.
Sorry, Richard, will you just give the example? What is the example?
With the targeted rate is starting 1 year earlier, then the costs are included.
Oh,
Yep.
because we moved them.
Yeah, we moved them out, so I will tidy that up with the CFO as part of the 25th of February. I'll just make sure that you're aware of that.
Just to be clear, we moved the wheelie bins out a year,
Yep.
but we didn't move the target
revenue.
rate out. Okay.
That's correct.
Yep.
So that, so everything that we've decided on will be picked up, but we have been receiving the updates, and another one was circulated while you were at lunch, just to show sort of the movement in the numbers. So this is the final one for these 2 days, and then we'll be receiving, as the staff bring it all together, we'll get another one of those. So can I have that resolution up, which I'll move? And councillor Pascoe, I'm sure, will second. So he and I had had a motion on the table outstanding from the last meeting, and so this is just an update on, well, a readjustment of the words really to make it far more clearer.
Your Worship, can I just ask a question? The red one is the current thing that's...
No, it was a motion that was on the table
Okay.
from the last meeting, but
Okay.
certainly not detailed wording enough. So if you just scroll down to the black words, so as not to confuse people, that is the motion that captures what we actually have to say to instruct the staff to make the changes to drafts and bring back for us to review on the 25th.
Just wondering if you can lift it up so we can see a bit more of that rates of remission thing, please.
There's nothing further below the line. I'm happy. That's right.
Is there anything?
Anything in secret, eh?
Secret? No, public excluded.
I'm happy to second.
Yes, that's right. Councillor Pascoe, you and I already had moved a motion which was on
The earlier
table.
one, the one in red.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this needs
Sorry, it's
some...
jumping around a bit. Can we?
Yeah, it is. That's right.
trying to-
Would you like to just make the font one
Smaller.
click smaller? Then I think it'll
And then
fit on
just
the
have the
screen.
black writing on the screen,
That sort
please,
of
Democracy
seems
Manager.
Sensible.
Ah, micro dot.
That's it. Thank you.
Can I just ask a question, Your Worship? The rates remission paragraph, can you confirm when that was decided? Or has that just been decided today? In other words, when
No,
was the
that-
discussion on that? Was it in December?
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
December.
Your Worship, can I ask a question about the rates for emission hardship relief policy?
To the CFO, yeah.
Yeah, Paul, the 3,500, remind me why it's such a big jump? I was here for an earlier discussion. Was that because it's a long time since we reviewed the threshold, or?
Yeah, it's actually about 3 years since it was last reviewed, and as was discussed on the 9th and 10th of December, I can't recall which day exactly, we had been showing a decrease in the uptake of that as the threshold had become an issue. So,
Okay, so that if we had kept it going, say with CPI or cost general wage movements, that roughly where it would have sat?
approximately, yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Does rates and remission apply to all ratepayers? For example, a business ratepayer that makes a loss, for
No.
example?
Individuals.
Could be individuals and it's income tested and asset tested and so forth.
Oh, it's asset tested as
Yeah.
well.
When was it
And it's genuine hardship only.
3 years ago.
So
What page is the report on that?
I mean, a business that's made no money is
the
a hardship
CPI,
too.
the CPI has moved about 1% a year, 3.5, 22 grand.
There was
It's a long, long way from 1%.
Now, there's a report on it just in your papers.
Last one.
Where is that?
I do remember it coming up, but your thing wasn't it, Gordon? It was your motion, wasn't it?
It covered off the policy and stuff. Just looking, why should I do it? Why did someone else do it?
Page 121.
Page 118? It sets out, I think, Councillor King, to answer your questions, the criteria you were talking about and
No,
how
I was
it's benchmarked
just-
against what? What it's benchmarked against?
It was just a verbal from the CFO saying that it was benched on the CPI over the last 3 years, and the CPI over the last 3 years has been around about 3% total.
No, I said that there was, I was asked the question if if it had approximated CPI, and the answer was yes. The threshold, though, is set to achieve a level, or is attempting to set a level that actually also allowed a number of people who have previously been eligible, who are no longer eligible because their incomes have increased, to be reflected into that.
It's still below the government, 24,000.
I'm not arguing, I'm just pointing out that CPI's been 3% over the last 3 years, not that good.
Just to confirm for the council, there's two recommendations on page 118. The second recommendation, that the draft annual plan is updated to reflect an additional $100,000, is already included within the budget. This is just a recommendation to align the policy to ensure that to align the policy to reflect that increased additional budget.
All right, any other questions to the CFO or CE on the...
Yes. Just on that.
Yep.
If that threshold is increased by 3,500, what sort of quantum are we expecting that to add up to?
We're expecting to use the fund fully again, whereas at the moment we are utilising the fund. So we set a threshold at a level that was aimed to actually utilise the full funding that was available. And this is an increase of $100,000 as well.
Has the point, sorry.
I haven't finished
Sorry.
it. So the 3.5 then you're talking about will be 100,000.
No, the 3.5 allows us to actually utilise the full funding.
So what did you say that was 100,000?
The 100,000 is the increase in the funding that we have added to the existing fund.
Oh, so it has increased as well?
Yep.
Okay.
Councillor Mallett?
Just to be clear, you've increased the eligibility.
That's correct.
And the funding available to be
That's correct.
But the maximum remission has stayed the same.
That's correct.
Am I right saying it was 446 and it's still 446?
Yes.
Okay. So someone, and is it an all or nothing thing? Is it sliding scale? Is it?
I'd have to double check that, I'm afraid.
What is it, Blair?
Sliding scale. It's based on a combination of those factors, and you can get a remission up to the maximum. But
So if, oh sorry.
it works in complementary with the government scheme, and so depending on your assets and your income and your level of rates, those three in combination will dictate the amount of remission you get.
Yeah, so it's an up to, in answer to your question, Councillor, it's an up to that amount.
And I guess by lifting that income threshold factor, that's the single biggest factor that drives the level of remission you get. So as the report says, we're not spending to the level of budget we have now. This lift here will dramatically or significantly increase the eligibility of those who apply.
Why does the last paragraph have to be there?
On the screen,
Yeah.
you are changing our rates policy, so it has to be a resolution of council to specifically change a rating policy. It's a policy that you have currently within your rating system.
As opposed to the other resolutions we've passed.
The other one on the report that talks about the $100,000 being included in the budget.
No, I think Andrew means all the other resolutions we've passed, but they've already been documented, Andrew. This one
Yeah,
hasn't
this
been documented.
because it's a policy change, you need to specifically approve the policy change.
It's effectively, we've approved the budget already as part of the budget process. That budget, and then to affect that budget, we need to approve the change to the policy. There's no other items within the budget, funded or unfunded proposals that actually had a policy impact that we needed to approve separately.
Any other questions? No?
On the first bullet point, why have anything there at all? Because we have increased above the 3.8%. Why? What are we trying to say there? We have broken the 3.8% target.
Sorry, are you saying why have that?
No, I'm saying rates increases to existing ratepayers will not exceed 3.8%, except, why don't you just say rates increases? I mean, why even point out it is above the 3.8%? I mean, it's in close to 5%, isn't
The
it?
CFO's
The
going to answer
average,
that.
We have a rates limit within the financial strategy. What we need to do is note that we have got a new targeted rate coming in over the term of this plan. Therefore, we have to make sure that we've recorded that exemption or exception to the 3.8%. Otherwise, we would effectively be having to remove the limit.
I think, though, that what Councillor King is saying is that why don't you record the collective amount? And I think...
Well, you can't do that
It makes
because-
sense.
What I heard you say, however, was that you can't do that because then that's not right for... If it's the same amount every year, it's not...
Can I help? Maybe that should,
No, so CFO, what's that?
Yeah, so-
I
so-
don't think you're
What's
answering
it-
his question, really, is my
The,
point.
the implication of increasing it to 4.48, which is the one-year exception in 2016-17, would be that would in fact enable a rates increase of 4.48% across all 10 years, which I don't think is what council intended.
Does that answer your question, Councillor King?
just,
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Councillor Mallett, you have a...
the 3.8 relates to the general rate.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, and so we are sticking to the 3.8 increase in the general rate, and I think and Andrew, I think
Yes.
all they're doing is we're signalling that, yep, the 3.8%'s been stuck to, but to be in the interest of disclosure and transparency and clarity and honesty and all that sort of stuff, there's a couple of other things, one of which you're aware of, which is Hamilton Gardens, and a second one we're putting on, which is the recycling. So I don't see any
So can I make a suggestion?
problem with that.
Just putting it out there. So the rates increase to existing ratepayers will be 3.8% for the first 2 years of the 10-year plan. The third year will be slightly higher than that, and then for the remaining part of the plan, it will be no more than 3.8%. So there's 1 year that's anomalous. We could note that within this, for clarity.
I think it's
I-
muddying the water.
Yes, I'd probably be with Councillor King.
Yeah.
I think it's clear.
Maybe we should just put the general rate will increase by 3.8%, just to be on, that will clarify a lot of what the confusion is here. The general rate is increasing, and that was what was always the intent, my understanding is, that there was that 3.8% was always related to the general rate. Then it's up to us to argue whether or not tacking on targeted rates or UACs is being consistent with that or not.
Right, so given it's my motion, can you please insert the words, the general rate increase to existing...
Excuse me, Your Worship,
rates?
there
No,
are-
we don't want general rate. Can we
I think
get
we'd leave it as it is.
get a distinction so that picking up the point from Councillor Mallett, which I think is a good one, because of course historically this council hasn't had sort of targeted rates, and this is a strategy policy. It's not, this is what this is, to amend the strategy. So can we have some words that would distinguish that, just so that we're clear?
Targeted rates, Your Worship.
Yeah, no, I see it, but I'm trying to, accommodate some of the queries that have raised, just for clarity.
Just a question, is this out for public consultation or something
No,
like general?
this is our strategy, instruction to the staff, and then they will put that into the strategy. It'll come back to us on the 25th to read, or possibly later, so that we get to read it, all the words, the current one we've got now, basically.
So that won't necessarily go out to public?
Oh, it's
Because I don't
available
know.
to the public, yes.
Worship, could we take a couple of minutes just to work through some wording that might satisfy what Councillor Mallett is suggesting?
Surely we can do that right now.
Yeah. Which these are flat rates.
Surely.
The general rate isn't a flat rate.
You guys live and breathe this, surely.
That's what I mean.
So Julie, you could take out except for and just make excluding targeted rates, and then have a new sentence saying an exception to this is, and what the exception is for that year.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Councillor, the Deputy Mayor suggested 2 sentences.
So you would like to repeat that?
Well, if you changed except for, just use the word excluding targeted rates, and then at the end of recycling, a full point and a new sentence, an exception to this is, and what that exception is.
Happy with that?
There are other targeted rates, such as the special water rates that are applied for areas or commercial enterprises that are not
All right.
subject to rates. There are a number of other targeted rates. The risk of making a list of exclusions makes it very long, whereas the generic wording that we had put up there by specifically talking about the two flat targeted rates
Except an exception to the 3.8 is the point that Gary is making.
Yeah.
An exception to this is in the year the rate will be.
So as the staff saying, look, it is what it is, and if we start listing all exceptions, then because we've got other targeted rates to do with commercial watering and stuff like that, have we?
I think the issue is that there's a whole lot of things bundled into rates submission,
Yeah.
targeted rates, and so we start to we'll miss something, and then
Okay.
inadvertently have a consequence we hadn't contemplated. So,
Okay.
as worded originally, the intent was very, very clear.
Because at public meetings, we get challenged about that being incorrect. By the time they add the other targeted rates, the increase is actually X, Y, Z. That's what I
Right,
get
so,
told at public meetings.
Do you? Okay. So we'll leave it as it is then, councillor Pascoe? Okay. Any other questions to the CFO or CE on this? Just pretty much encapsulating exactly what we spent the last 2 days and the days in December doing from a policy perspective. Yes,
Just,
councillor.
I noticed that the balancing the book target isn't in there anymore. Where's that
Would have
gone?
been in there.
That has never been an official limit.
Has it never been?
No, it was talked about that one of the principles of the financial strategy was to reach balancing the books, and in the text it talked about 2017, but it actually was not a limit in the financial strategy.
It was effectively the outcome of achieving this financial strategy, that if we achieve the strategy, the outcome would be to balance the books sooner and effectively live within our means.
Communicated that very poorly then, because I've always thought that was part of.
So any
keep
other
on saying the three or
questions
four
on this?
parts of it.
Yes.
Just clarification on the arithmetic on dot 2. I assume the 0.627% is the same as the percentage previously used for land value. We've just
That's correct.
recalculated
Yes.
it.
Yes, that's correct.
If you just
Any
give me a
other
moment, I can give you a
questions on-
reference.
No, I'm
Page
happy to
15.
accept your,
Yes, no.
Page 15,
your
Paul.
word on that.
No, we don't need it's a yes.
I'm
no
happy to
question.
accept your word on that. I was just making sure that was.
Councillor Leary, did you have a question?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure I understood, because we are making a change to the policy for rates remission, it was my understanding that financial policies are included in the draft LTP that does go out for consultation. Hasn't that what we've done in the past? Maybe, Leah?
Can you repeat that again, Angela?
The consultation document won't specifically include the policies, but they'll be available on the website, and other matters will be identified, and the public can go to the website to get that more detailed information. The law has changed in terms of the
Oh,
used to
okay, so
consult with.
that's why I'm getting confused. Thank you.
Sorry, just to clarify what just happened then, so what goes out to the public won't have our financial strategy in it?
No, the law changed, councillor Mallett. The government said what we want councils to do is put out a consultation, a summary document. In the big thick books, they can be available for the public, but we want you to tell, and it actually says it in the legislation, plain language, using graphs, as simply as you can, what you're planning to do with your money, and only the big things. So that's what the government's changed it to. So that's what we're putting out. But the detail about all of this, absolutely available.
So the strategy is a discretionary thing we can put in or put out?
Oh, no, it'll be in the 10-year plan document.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so we do have to publish a final 10-year plan document,
yeah.
but the consultation is effective by, as Her Worship mentioned, a summary consultation document.
And, in fact,
And you
the
don't think it would be used, I mean, is that the financial strategy I would have thought was so fundamental
It will
that
be
it
ref-
should surely be
It
in the
will be
summary
referenced,
document.
but it will be referenced, it is a major matter and it will be referenced in the consultation document, yes. There's no legal responsibility to do so, but it's one of
What I
our key.
suggest is when it comes back on the 25th, I'm assuming we're getting a draft on the 25th, are we?
Yes.
Because what's interesting about that change in the Local Government Act is it also says in that section what it doesn't want us to do. I don't, it basically says, I don't want you to put out lots of information, lots of complicated stuff. It actually says that.
I think we're talking about 50 words.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Councillor Mann, it's actually quite interesting that they're trying to really streamline it down. But on the 25th, I'm assuming we're going to get a draft
Yes,
to
you are
look at,
correct,
so
Your
we
Worship.
can say whether we like it or not, I guess, and what we want in and out. Perhaps we could allocate a couple of hours to that to work through it, line by line.
Word by word, Your Worship.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Fortunately, Your Worship, on the 25th, you'll not only get the consultation document,
Right.
you will get a full copy of the other material which would go up on our website. So that
Right.
the detailed documents and the policies.
Okay, so we're getting all that on the 25th?
You get all that
Right,
stuff.
God,
Yeah, but
okay.
obviously not all of that goes up to the public.
Okay, a lot of...
Can I just, so the decision has been made that first to 3 bullet points will not be in.
No, that is not the case at all. You will see on the 25th of February a consultation document that reflects the pertinent
The
information.
decisions we've made, yep.
Well, the pertinent information that the community needs to be aware of in terms of to enable them to make an informed decision on our 10-year plan. And part of that will be, in our case, the financial strategy. So it will be referenced.
Anything else?
Yeah, just that why is the word limits? Isn't that is our financial strategy, isn't it? It's not the limits, that is our financial strategy.
The current financial strategy describes them as limits, as opposed to other comments that were in the strategy. So it was very clear that those things were limits.
And that's implicit in the wording.
I think just to be helpful to support what CFO said, there are limits specified in the financial strategy. When you translate that into plain English for the reader, we have utilised the graphs that you've seen through the course of this meeting. So we will incorporate a mixture of those in the document. So the graphs that Paul has been shown are the translation in plain English, but they are expressed in the documents as limits, as worded there.
That's the word used currently.
Correct.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay. Does anyone wish to speak for or against this? No? Okay, so we go to...
Clarification, obviously, with regard to the debt to revenue ratio, that just confirms the majority resolution of the council the other day.
Yesterday.
So if we don't agree with that, then obviously we'd vote against that. Right, okay. I mean, the debate's been had, I respect that, but obviously that could just be reflected in a vote. Okay.
Okay, all right, so we go on the board to vote. Voting for that.
Carried 7 votes for, 4 against.
Okay. Right, so that's the end of budget matters, and now we're going to receive a report on Cricket World Cup. This is the other supplementary report.
Can't wait for it.
No.
What are we now? We're going to talk about Cricket World Cup. Cricket World Cup, right.
How we can spend some of the rate portion of cricket. Certain people support.
Are there any items you wanted to bring to our attention, Sean, in relation to the report? And take it as read.
Yes, take it as
anything
read, Your Worship.
updated? for
Look, I
us?
think there's quite a bit of the action that has been noted in the report has actually been done since the report was drafted.
Right.
So, there are billboards that have been erected, including just outside here, and bunting is going up in a couple of days. So you'll start to see a lot more visible evidence of Cricket World Cup action sort of taking place. If I may, Your Worship, I'll just sort of introduce with a couple of comments. and hopefully the report is clear and gives you a sense of what is going on. But we are in that position at the moment where we're sort of deep diving into our execution plan for Cricket World Cup now that it's upon us within a matter of days. So the team is extremely busy. We have an awful lot going on, and it's a period leading up to the first game where a lot of the uncertainty that we've been having to work under will sort of come to fruition in terms of, some of the formal visits to the city and so forth in terms of who's actually coming. So there's still quite a bit of action going on as we sort of get the final bit of detail for a lot of what's going on sorted out. I'd also just want to raise with you a mention and remind you that for the opening weekend for the Cricket World Cup, we have a lot of other activity going on in the city at the same time, which is targeted to complement the Cricket World Cup activity, such as Soweto Choir and for the first opening event for the Garden Arts Festival. We have that followed by 3 major international shows at Claudelands. So there's an awful lot that's going on, and at the same time we also have, we continue to be in the middle of our preparations for the FIFA World Cup, which is going to come up towards the middle of the year. And in fact, this weekend coming, we have a official delegation from the FIFA organisation actually visiting Hamilton for the day, doing a final inspection tour of facilities before they sign off. So just stressing the point that there's an awful lot going on right now, but it's coming together very well. We don't have any issues that are of major concern right now.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Mellon?
On the last page, Sean, thanks for that. You've got expenditure to the end of December 2014. How were we tracking subsequently?
Look, we're tracking very well at this stage. In hindsight, looking at that report, I actually think we should have, rather than had actual expenditure, we should have had commitment, so you know exactly what's been committed. But I can assure you that our commitments to date are well within our plan at this stage.
So you would say, reporting right up until today, we're pretty much within budget, spend and what you know is going to be
Totally,
to be spent.
absolutely,
later on. Yep.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I just suggest that the chair asks the general manager in charge of Parks and Open Spaces to thank the designers and the gardeners who worked on the roundabout at Frankton. I just think it's fantastic. And a lot of work's gone into that.
Councillor King?
No, I was just suggesting maybe you on behalf of council could ask the GM to...
So I can let you know that's certainly been relayed back to the staff about how pleased we are, because that sort of extra effort and planning and cost and that goes into getting those designs right to make them look really good for the city. And so Lance, just reinforcing what we've already been passing back to you, how lovely they look and what a good job Gina and the team have done on designing and growing, and I think the extra cost has been worth it.
Stunning.
Yeah, it is
Actually
stunning.
Seriously. You've
It's lovely
travelled
to have
around,
those
some of you have
things,
been around the
isn't
places, stunning.
It's not just that roundabout, it's
Absolutely.
all roundabouts. Noticed that this morning driving
Yep,
in.
absolutely.
They are all
Plans are to
stunning.
put plants in to recognise the commemorations for World War I as well.
It'd be nice if the message got through to the gardeners as well, right down to the lower end of
I
those
think
on
it
the
Lance
ground.
does, isn't it? Yeah.
Pitch has been doctored to suit our bowls.
Sorry, what did you say, Councillor Miller?
What you say?
I'm just imploring.
Something about doctored numbers, did
Have
you
we
say?
doctored the pitches so that they suit our bowlers?
Oh, have we doctored the pitches?
It's not been
Right,
done.
The turf,
The wickets are all fully compliant with ICC requirements.
right.
Oh, wink, wink. Thanks, mate.
I'm taking bets on the first no ball.
Moving the report be accepted?
Yep.
Okay, seconded
I'll
by
second.
Councillor Forsyth.
Oh, sorry.
All right, all those in favour?
Aye.
Okay. So, Sean, look, good luck, counting down, of course. The opening event is next week in Christchurch. And then the first match is on the 14th in Christchurch. And then we're underway, aren't we?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, great.
Okay,
Thank you
thank you.
very much. Okay, so councillors, the meeting's now at an end. Thank you.